Asking for mercy. What the lawyers for this father and son are asking for instead of prison time. We'll have the details on that, and a manhunt still underway in Belgium at this hour. The link police believe they have found between Tuesday's attacks and the ones that happened in Paris last year. 6 o'clock and good morning. I'm Julia Dunn. Jack Lampson is off today. Let's get to your weather forecast. I know a lot of people, including myself, woke up, you know, there was, you could tell that it had rained, Craig, but it had all iced over on my windshield. Yeah, freezing rain, a little bit of freezing drizzle across the Saratoga Springs area not too long ago. Right now catching a break. In fact, the snow, sleet, freezing rain mix that we had now pretty much catching a little bit of a lull in the activity. We're watching what's developing out west because this may try and ripple along as well and affect areas north of the capital region, so certainly something to watch. But I do expect this to come to an end really by noon at the very latest for all of us. Areas south, you haven't really seen anything, just clouds. Outside right now, well, it's mostly cloudy. Temperatures are in the 30s, even some 20s as we work our way further north. 33 latest check in Albany. Should wind up in the lower 50s today, kind of cloudy. Some breaks of sunshine. Julia? Craig, thanks. We're going to take a look at traffic now, bringing you out to exit 3 I-90. Eastbound traffic is on the left-hand side, so it's the headlights coming at you. We are accident-free for this hour. If you're about to hit the road, that's your CBS 6 Eye on traffic. Happening now, Pittsfield police are still investigating and interviewing potential witnesses after two girls say a man tried to lure them into his van while they were walking to school yesterday. Police say that these were two separate incidents. So you have the first one that happened down here on North Street, and not too far away, the second one on Linden Street in Pittsfield. Both the female students were walking to the Reed Middle School, and this was right before 7 o'clock in the morning. Our Carrie Beal is joining us outside of that school this morning. So Carrie, what do the parents have to say about all this?
Well, parents are worried, and here's why. Behind me here is Reed Middle School, and over here across the street, these are all residential houses. All this area surrounding me is residential houses, meaning students have the option to walk. One of those students who was approached yesterday was on this very road, North Street, and one of the parents of the kids we talked to says they don't really have that many options because if they live within a half mile of the school doesn't provide transportation. Here's what we know so far of what happened yesterday. Around 6:55, they received a report a man in a blue van attempted to lure one female student into his vehicle. Police then located that van yesterday afternoon and spoke with the vehicle's owner, but did not make an arrest. Then police say a second student reported a similar incident happened yesterday morning near the location of the first incident. Both cases remain under investigation. Right now, the police are continuing to interview potential witnesses and victims. We talked with a parent of one of the students who was approached yesterday. He says he plans to keep his daughter at home until she is provided transportation by the school.
So at that point, it's like one of us have to quit our jobs to be able to get our daughter back and forth to school or pay $400 for her to ride a bus to school, which we can't afford.
Now, the district did say to parents and students at the school of the incident, they did release some information about that. We also reached out to the superintendent yesterday to get some response on what happened. We called multiple times and they didn't return our phone calls. Police are asking anyone with more information to give them a call. I'm Carrie Beal reporting live in Pittsfield for CBS 6 News.
Carrie, thank you. Happening this morning in Brussels, while the security perimeter shrinks around the metro station bombed on Tuesday, a manhunt is still underway for a third suspect in the deadly attacks. Investigators in Belgium now believe that there's a link between Tuesday's assault and the November Paris attacks. Police are still looking for this mystery man pictured here in the white jacket, but have made progress identifying the other two. Investigators believe the terror cells are bomb maker Najim Sharawi, shown on the left-hand side there, and Ibrahim El-Bakraoui in the middle. And they say that both of those guys, they blew themselves up at the airport. Ibrahim's younger brother, Khalid, is believed to have detonated the explosives on the subway train. Investigators say they've also found DNA belonging to at least one of the Belgium suspects on a suicide vest used in the Paris attacks. Speaking from Argentina, President Obama once again urged the international community to come together in the terror fight.
Can and we will defeat those who threaten the safety and security not only of our own people, but of people all around the world.
The Associated Press says ISIS has trained at least 400 fighters to carry out waves of deadly attacks in Europe. Later today, European leaders will hold an emergency meeting to discuss its response to the Brussels attacks. Now, because of all of this, security is being stepped up just about everywhere, but one retired U.S. general says maybe this won't even matter because according to him, some current policies are making the United States a prime target for a similar style of terrorist attack.
In America, we almost have a perfect storm here. The threat is growing, particularly as we bring in more and more of these Syrian refugees. The threat is growing, but law enforcement is now not willing and able to do its job in many cases.
The United States is welcoming a very limited amount of asylum seekers, unlike Europe, which is bringing in far more. An expert on the migrant refugee crisis says most of the people behind the recent terror attacks, though, in both the U.S. and in Europe, have been from the area where they committed the act of terror. Happening today in Troy, 2 teens are expected in court after police say they were shooting a BB gun at a school bus full of kids. Raymond Johnson and Dion Kowalczyk arrested earlier this week after police say they were shooting at the bus on Madison Avenue Monday morning. The district says the bus was carrying 12 students and 1 monitor from the Sacred Heart School. Both teens have been behind bars in Rensselaer County, and they are facing several charges. New details this morning in a Troy robbery investigation. Albany police confirming that this man here, Anton Gums, who was arrested last week in connection with the armed robbery of DeMayo's liquor store, is now facing charges in connection with 4 other armed robberies in Albany. On January, February, and earlier this month, 4 robberies were reported at the Sunoco station on Delaware Avenue. Police now say Gums is facing several charges in connection with those Sunoco robberies. The lawyers for former New York Senate leader Dean Skelos and his son Adam are asking a judge for mercy and not to send the 2 to prison. The Skelos lawyers filing papers yesterday, each asking for sentences of probation, citing Dean Skelos' long history of public service and asking for the judge to consider multi-year community service as part of his punishment. Dean Skelos was convicted last year of corruption and extorting money and other benefits for his son. The 2 are to be sentenced April 13th. Key state lawmakers continuing their efforts to legalize daily fantasy sports in New York. Following the recent agreement with the Attorney General earlier this week, the state Senate is backing the regulation of daily fantasy sports, putting that in their recent budget proposal. The chair of the committee with gambling jurisdiction says he predicts the legislature will legalize it and regulate the sites. Governor Cuomo's office says it looks forward to reviewing this proposed legislation. Now, speaking of the state budget, with the deadline now a week away, lawmakers are still debating the governor's proposal to phase in a $15 minimum wage. Right now, several compromises are being discussed, trying to persuade opponents of this bill to switch sides. For example, one idea is to increase the wage at a much slower rate than what the governor wants. Another deal excludes some industries from having to pay the higher wage. But Assemblywoman Pat Fahey from Albany doesn't think that's the answer.
But I don't want to see a 2-tiered system where some businesses would pay one wage and others would pay another. I don't think that works.
Ultimately, Fahey does support the wage hike, saying it allows for more revenue to be spent in local communities from the lower wage workers who do spend their income. Lawmakers have until next Friday to approve the budget. People in Cohoes spending the night digging in for a good cause. This looks good. They were ditching the utensils at Smith's restaurant in downtown Cohoes and using their hands to eat a beefsteak and potatoes dinner. All the proceeds from the event go towards supporting the construction of the Cohoes Veterans Memorial.
Currently, there's nothing past World War II, so the veterans were trying to do this memorial park, and this is kind of a concept from the 1800s that we thought our restaurant really led itself to.
The project will restore the city's 1910 Civil War monument as well as add new landscaping, flags, and a plaza walkway. A groundbreaking ceremony is scheduled for early this summer. The Senate in South Carolina passing a bill concerning refugees in their state. We'll tell you why, if it becomes a law, it would be the first of its kind. And protests in Argentina. Look at this. Why hundreds were marching in the streets and burning American flags.
A little light snow and wintry mix activity sort of calming down right now north of the capital region. Another batch, though, just to our west. I think that will affect parts of the area. I'll let you know who, let you know when that comes to an end. Plus, we're going to look at Easter. We're going to take a look and see if things are going to be a little brighter than they have been over the last couple of days when we come back.
CBS 6 Eye on Traffic brought to you by Team Goey. To see all Carfax service records on over 40 one-owner vehicles, Google Goey.
6:13 Thursday morning. We are so close to the end of the week. Let's bring you to Waterville here, 787 north of exit 7. We're looking pretty good. Northbound and southbound sides are clear of traffic at this hour. I just looked at 511. We are accident free. A little chilly out there today. Right, Craig?
Yeah, it is, especially this morning where temperatures are starting out mainly in the 30s out there. We've seen a little bit of snow as we work our way to the Adirondacks in the North Country, coming in with some spots traced to 1/4 of an inch to as much as a 1/2 inch. I mean, not a heck of a lot out there. We're getting a little lull in the activity, but we could see a little more light wintry mix pulling on in a few hours from now, and then it should come to an end by noon. Otherwise, a mostly cloudy day for today. May catch a little bit of sunshine in during the afternoon. Then we'll look for more rain during the overnight tonight, so much warmer temperatures pulling in by tonight, especially into tomorrow in the morning. You may wake up tomorrow morning to temperatures close to 60. Yeah. And then Easter weekend looks nice and dry. So Easter weekend is a go. If you have any Easter egg hunts or any sort of outdoor activities for the weekend, you're fine. 33 latest check in downtown Albany. Like I said, yeah, a little chilly outside. By the lunch hour, temperatures will wind up in the middle 40s. It's cloudy, and then we'll look for mostly cloudy conditions by later this afternoon. A little sunshine here and there as temperatures will wind up making it up into the lower 50s. Right now on the cool side of this front is the northeast, kind of stuck in some cold air. High pressure to the north of us, blocking this front from sort of advancing any further north. Eventually, though, this area, low pressure, will advance toward our area, and this front will start to retreat northward and get us into some of that warmer air, so it will win out, and we'll get some warmer air by late in the day today through the overnight tonight and into tomorrow, right before we see a cold front swing through, give us some showers, and then we'll clear ourselves out for the weekend looking good. Right now, though, just traces of some wintry precip as we go north of Glens Falls into Rutland County. Nothing particularly too heavy out there. It looks like, though, by about 8 o'clock, we'll see another little ripple work on through. That'll affect areas mainly along and north of the capital region, mostly north of the capital region, with a little wintry mix of snow, sleet, freezing rain. That'll come to an end by noon, like I said, and then I think we see a little bit of sunshine trying to build by later in the day. Now, by tonight, clouds will increase again ahead of the cold front. We will see some showers develop after midnight, and especially when the cold front works through by tomorrow in the morning, about 8, 9 o'clock, we'll see some scattered showers, maybe a rumble of thunder, and then some gradual clearing as we go through the afternoon. Tomorrow promises to be a mild day with highs topping out near 60. Out the door this morning, though, yeah, kind of chilly. Lower to middle 30s all the way down across the Hudson Valley. Later today, now this particular model wants to get us up into the upper 50s, expecting a little more sunshine. I'm going to go ahead and put a little damper on those thoughts, unfortunately, where I do think temperatures will wind up today in the lower to middle 50s for the mid-Hudson Valley, probably lower 50s for the capital region itself, and some 40s for the higher elevations extending back up to areas north where I think we're stuck in the 40s. That's just kind of the deal. All right, so as far as your 7-day forecast is concerned, going for 60 tomorrow with some morning showers and maybe a rumble of thunder, then clearing later in the afternoon. Easter weekend, great. 55 degrees, sunny on Saturday. Easter itself, look, if the bunny's not upset, neither should you be. 60 degrees on Sunday. It looks like some rain on Monday. The temperatures in the lower 50s and about 50 for Tuesday and Wednesday. So
good weather for Easter egg hunts.
Yep,
those were so much fun when you were a kid or an adult. You could.
I was going to say.
I think there's an age limit on Easter egg hunts.
Kid is sort of, loosely defined.
Loosely defined, right.
Exactly.
Okay, at the water cooler today, a lot of people, you like to go and have dinner and a show, but maybe not this kind of a show. This is just a weird thing that happened at a sushi restaurant in Los Angeles. So anyways, customers are in there, they're all having dinner, and some man is in the sushi restaurant eating, and also he had brought a small snake with him.
Because who doesn't?
Why do you bring... I know. So he's showing the snake off to the people in the restaurant, and the wait staff and the owner were like,
dude, you gotta go.
Yeah, you gotta go. Like, you can't have the snake in here. And so the guy leaves, and apparently he was pretty upset because he came back in, only this time he didn't have the little snake with him. He had a 13-foot python, brought it into the store. Apparently he was swearing and yelling, and he just dropped the snake in the middle of the sushi restaurant and left.
Well, you know.
Left it. Animal control had to come. I believe the snake is in that box.
Some people drop a mic and leave. This guy drops a 13-foot python and leaves.
He dropped the snake.
I'm out.
So they, the police arrested him for, what was the charge again? Suspicion of making criminal threats.
With the snake.
With the snake.
I'm tired of these snakes in the sushi restaurant.
Yeah. So anyways, just kind of a weird story. I've never seen anything like that happen.
Snakes and sushi.
Snakes and sushi.
Good stuff.
The South Carolina Senate passes a bill to set up a private registry for refugees in the state. And if this is made into a law, the bill would become the first of its kind. So now it heads over to the House for consideration. What it would do is it would require all refugees to have a sponsor and register with the state's Department of Social Services, who would then share that information with the state police. The refugee sponsor would then be responsible for any damages if the refugee would commit an act of terrorism. South Carolina and New York are the only states that have proposed measures to register refugees. In Argentina, protests in front of the U.S. Embassy there over President Obama's visit. Hundreds from left-wing political parties and human rights organizations marched against what they call American imperialism while burning American flags. The president's visit to Argentina lands on the 40th anniversary of the brutal military coup. And protesters say what it's done is it's reopened old wounds from one of Argentina's darkest periods. Happening now in Massachusetts, investigators still trying to figure out how a gas leak started at this Boston seafood company. Stavis Seafood, a commercial fishery, suffered a massive leak in its ammonia pipeline. The gas is used as a refrigerant, and it's dangerous to breathe. All the employees were able to make it out except for one. Hazmat crews were eventually able to recover the worker's body and close the valve. Police did shut down nearby streets for hours, prompting a shelter-in-place order for residents and the restaurants. Foul play isn't expected. Alex Rodriguez, or A-Rod, says he plans to retire from baseball after the 2017 season. His retirement is scheduled to happen right when his 10-year contract with the New York Yankees ends. The slugger returned last season from a one-year drug suspension. Right now, he has 687 home runs to his name, just 75 shy of Barry Bonds' career record. At the end of his contract, A-Rod will be 42 years old. Tinder is getting political. How the dating app is trying to match undecided voters to a presidential candidate. It's actually kind of cool. And Starbucks is making yet another change to their rewards program. The newest way consumers can rack up those points.
CBS 6 Eye on Traffic brought to you by Team Goey. To see all Carfax service records on over 40 one-owner vehicles, Google Goey.
The federal government ordering state inspectors to remove certain Volvo tractor trailers from the road. The DOT says about 20,000 trucks have a steering wheel defect that could cause a driver to lose complete control of the truck. There is some good news, though. About half of the vehicles have either been temporarily fixed or they're off the road. The affected trucks are the Volvo VNL, VNX, and VNM, made between May of 2015 and March of this year. At this year's New York Auto Show, an array of concept and high-efficiency vehicles are expected to be showcased, with SUVs also playing a pretty big role. This is because automakers are trying to drive up sales of the more expensive family-sized cars. Maserati is expected to debut its first ever SUVs called the Levante, which is priced at about $70,000. That's it, Maserati. Tinder wants to match you up in a new way with a presidential candidate, not a potential date. The dating app has launched a new Swipe the Vote feature, asking undecided voters what they think about certain political issues like the death penalty, gay marriage, legalizing marijuana. It's then going to tell users which candidates most closely match up with their views. Tinder hopes this will attract millennial users to the voting booth. The app even includes a link to register to vote that can be completed online in most states. Starbucks is adding a new feature to their rewards program. The company says it's going to introduce a prepaid Visa card this year for users to earn rewards points. The card will be offered through Chase Bank. It's the latest move by the Seattle-based company to attract customers to its loyalty program, which already has more than 12 million members in the U.S. 6:25, a local school district partners up with the Albany County Sheriff's Office today. The drill that they're doing and how it could help save lives. And Australian investigators might have found a connection to this debris recently discovered in Mozambique, where they think it comes from.
In Pittsfield, Massachusetts, police are still investigating after they say a man approached two girls as they were walking to school. I'm Carrie Beeling. Coming up, we talk with a parent who says this isn't the first time.
All right, breaking the winter coats out this morning. 33 degrees. We're clouded over, sending the kids off to the bus stop. Well, a little bit of patchy drizzle, maybe some freezing drizzle, kind of cloudy and cool. I'll have a look at the rest of the day, which promises to be a little warmer by later in the afternoon, plus your Easter weekend. It's all when we come back in the next half hour.